Greetings, Internet Drinking Buddies. My name is Link.
And I am Kyle.
And on this episode of Tubbin' and Chuggin', we'll be imbibing Campari. Welcome back to, well, it's not my tub, as you can probably tell. We are on location at an undisclosed location, filming a very special episode of Tubbin' and Chuggin'. And as you can see, obviously, I have a guest. His name is Kyle. Kyle, I am given to understand you have perhaps gone away from the alcohol over the course of your life. Is that true?
I have. Since 2020, I've probably had a grand total of maybe a glass of champagne.
A glass of champagne?
And perhaps a taste of sake. But other than that, almost completely alcohol-free for about a year.
Now, alcohol-free for a year, but that does not mean necessarily that you have lost your taste for alcohol.
Absolutely. I so cook with alcohol.
Absolutely.
So I do, and that taste, and yeah, but that's really the extent. A lot less of the drinking.
When you were drinking, what would you say your favorite drink was?
When I was drinking, I'd say my favorite drink was probably a classic, old-fashioned, except I'm a huge fan of Irish whiskey.
Irish whiskey.
So, an old-fashioned with Irish whiskey, which I know some people
It's a little...
who love their Irish whiskey
Yeah.
are probably going to be like, how dare you put a little sweet and sugary substance in there. But I think part of having a drink is having what you want to drink.
Absolutely.
Not necessarily a drink that, oh, this is how I should be drinking whiskey. It's like, this is how I enjoy it, though. Little sweet
Worst,
touch to the end.
you know, the absolute worst is somebody who's just like, this is the way you need to get drunk. And I say to them,
Exactly.
I will get drunk the way I want to get drunk. And that is part of the reason we have the show, is to let you know all the various ways that you can get drunk in obviously responsible methods.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what would you say your least favorite drink you've ever had is?
Least favorite drink I've ever had. This is actually a really easy one.
A lot of the times it's a very easy
I know.
one.
It just stood out. It was very, it was a unique experience. It was, I don't know if I want to name drop the bar, but I mean, I feel like you just have to.
Now, it's not necessarily the bar's fault.
That's true. It was an extremely busy, I'll just say it was an extremely busy club-like environment.
Club-like
which
environment.
does make it more difficult. I know on the bartenders, you're getting drinks out.
Hustling and bustling.
It was a drink called the Black Dahlia.
Okay.
And so it
Now,
was
this sounds like it's up your
right?
alley.
Exactly. As soon as it's like Black Dahlia on the drink, I was like, horror-related, very cool. The drink, in terms of how it looked, black with a cherry, I believe, was just with it. Very that like black with blood. It was very much my aesthetic, so I was a fan.
You take a look at it. This is great. Did it smell good?
Smelled fine, but also same thing, mid-club, so it was one of those. I
sure.
wasn't relying on my sense of
You
smell.
were not doing the sommelier.
But so it was a chocolate martini was what it was like advertised as.
Okay.
And I don't know, as far as I know from the bartending course that I didn't complete, gin is used in a martini.
Yeah.
Or vodka.
Typically it's gin, but yes.
I swear this was like rum or something. Like it was just, I was like, I feel like someone grabbed the wrong well drink.
Just the
And it was that combination with whatever they mixed in to make it the chocolate martini was just awful.
Not great.
It was just, and then like I felt really bad too because it was like it was a slammed thing, and you hate to be that guy who's
Yeah.
like, hey, I think there's an issue with my drink, and so I had to be that guy though. And then she tasted it and was like, oh my god, I don't know what happened. And I was like, oh.
Well, we did mix a drink to sort of skip ahead a little bit. Part of the way we're going to enjoy Campari is with a Negroni, which is gin, and we saw it was gin that we poured into it. So hopefully we did not make that mistake.
Oh yeah, no, we did.
We can proceed from there.
Absolutely.
Now, what is Campari? We've already got a cocktail mix. We're going to have it on its own as well. But going back into the history of Campari, 1860, guy by the name of Gaspari Campari. I don't know if it was intentional. His parents wanted to make his name rhyme. Sometimes they do
Alliteration
that.
was always
Yeah,
nice.
it's good. in the city of Novara, Italia. Props, we are watching this on the day Italia just won Euro 2020 in
Congratulations,
2021. Kind of a weird thing overall. They pulled it off. And so Campari has this carmine dye as part of it. It gives it its unique coloration. However, as recently as 2006, they've taken the Campari dye out in order to make it more of a natural, whatever kind of thing. They figured out how to make the dye without that adulterant, some might say. So there might have been a little bit of a controversy there. A lot of people still say it tastes like Campari. So we're just going to take their word for it. We can't get pre-2006 Campari. This is what we've got. But as far as our base stats, the ones that we always like to go down to. So Campari actually ranges in proof from as low as 20.5% to as high as 28.5%. We have 24% here. That's usually what you can find in the States. You can find this at a variable price range. So at Costco, you can probably get this $20, maybe even lower. Maybe at your local grocer, it's going to go up to $30, somewhere in that range. So it's going to vary between maybe like $2.22 a drink to $3.33 a drink. But you're really not going to be like probably having this on its own all that often. This is not the seltzer that you reach out for on a Tuesday night. This is something you're either putting in a drink or you have a plan for this kind of thing. So kind of like something that lives in your bar that you mix into other things. I think is the core component of this. And as a result, we're going to be making a classic drink, the Negroni, with it. We've already made it. We've got it poured into here. But we're going to have that after we sip it straight. Because again, coming and chugging, we got to do some chugging with this. It has to happen. So, as a result of that, I think we've clarified most of the details. The one thing I will point out is that this is usually used as an apéritif, which is Italian essentially for appetizer, liquid appetizer. Something that you might have at a cocktail hour of sorts. You know, somebody's going around, they've got the appetizers, and then maybe like a cocktail of things. Fancy party, this is the kind of thing you would have.
I've been to many.
Many a fancy party. So we're gonna go ahead, we'll pour ourselves a couple of just straight Campari. We'll be back to drink it. We need, as always, a toast on top of the chugging. Guest.
The only toast that I've ever known is just Skull.
Skull.
There's alcohol in that.
There is definitely alcohol in that.
Absolutely.
But it burns in a way that's not alcoholic, I think.
I'd say you don't have that same shot of whiskey where you feel
it's
it.
Not.
There's not
I like to
a
describe like the throat process on a lot of drinks. Sometimes it gets caught in your throat. This feels like it goes straight to the heart.
Absolutely.
Am I right on that one?
I can see that being a warming liqueur in a St. Bernard's safety thing while you're caught skating in an avalanche.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or if you're very nervous at a party and
Absolutely.
you're like reaching for the aperitif, the Campari. It tastes like it looks. I'll give it that, right? It like you look at this and you're like, okay, this is some sort of like hard candy type thing, or you know, like I guess a very vibrant taste.
The first thing I actually thought of was I was like, it kind of tastes like Werther's Originals, just
Yeah,
like the
yeah,
where
exactly.
It's like that cough drop taste, which is like not bad.
Yeah, it's not. I guess
I see what you're saying, where it's not particularly a drink where you're like, pour me a glass of Campari, let's chug this.
This
but
is
it's
not,
like
yeah.
an important, especially in a cocktail form, to be able to taste the base of what we're talking about.
Taste the base, and I think also the color is definitely sort of a distinguishing factor.
Again, I love the aesthetic. It's very True Blood. It's
exactly.
very,
Yeah. A little bit more, and then maybe we'll go to the Negroni.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'd say each sip has been better.
Yeah, definitely one that grows on you over age. I think most sort of liqueur type things like this, when you get into that 20-30% range, it's got something different to it. And it might, the first time you have it, it's a little bit weird. But as you grow on it, you're like, okay, this is what they're going for. This is what I wanted.
I was like, I almost want to redact my past of where it's like, nah, you could almost sip it just like that. But I'd say like That
You got to know what you're getting into.
That's about the
though.
limit,
Yeah.
I'd say, of where you could sit. Like, that was nice, and I'd say past that, you might be like, all right, what do we have to mix in with
Yeah.
this?
Again,
Or
as
it's like-
sort of a budget-conscious show, this is an expensive, like, I just want to sort of sip on this. It's a little iffy for that, but I think where it's going to shine the most is in the cocktail, and it's one of the reasons I think it was good to have it straight.
Absolutely.
Because now we get to see how it blends.
Absolutely.
So this is a classic Negroni. We'll put the ingredients here, and obviously we need a second toast.
Second toast.
So it's going to be.
I
You
had
said you only
second
knew
toast?
one.
I only knew one.
You thought you were ready, but you weren't.
I was like, my grandfather used to say one that I can totally butcher because I don't know it precisely, but it's something along the lines of it's like, may the devil know you're dead 15 minutes after you're dead, or something like that. It's an Irish drinking toast, but it's something along those lines in the.
So that you can sneak into heaven.
Yeah, so you sneak into heaven. So.
To that.
Sneak into heaven.
To that, sneaking into heaven. I like it. Oh yeah.
And that blends that together really
Yeah.
nicely.
Yeah, you can taste. I think all three layers of that.
You can taste that that's
The gin,
that's a
the
drink,
vermouth,
not
the,
a,
yeah, the Campari. It all kind of blends
yeah.
together. You're like, oh, somebody crafted this.
Yeah.
They worked on this for a while, and they figured out what was good about it, and it looks good. Obviously, maybe you would have this with ice if you don't have these things chilled,
glass.
prepared. But yeah, it goes together.
It
nicely.
seems also just like a very classic combination,
Mhm.
just in terms of this isn't overcomplicated. There's no let's light this on fire.
Always
or-
love a drink where it's like, here's pick 3 alcohols,
Absolutely.
put them together.
Put 'em together.
Yeah. Always when it's like, yeah, take Sprite, I guess, and drown 3 things in like a can of Sprite. Oh, that'll taste good, right? Look,
Yeah.
you're tasting Sprite. But right now, all we're doing is we're tasting a blend, like a signature sort of concocted blend. I think it works.
I think it works. It is good. Like I said, as someone who has not had alcohol in a minute, I'd say I'm already at my like.
This is about
yeah,
where I
like
should
where
be.
it's like.
And I think, one of the things about one of these kind of cocktails, right, where it's like all alcohol, it's like, it lets you know, by the way. Yeah,
absolutely,
You're, this might be a cocktail, but this is still very alcoholic.
I would not recommend this drink to someone who would prefer something where you taste less of the alcohol.
No.
in it,
This
where
is, if you're
is
a
a-
seltzer, vodka, lemonade kind of person, stay away from this kind of thing. But if you're into that kind of like, I want it to look cool, I want to sort of feel classy, that kind of thing, I think this works.
It is. It's very sexy. It's very vampire.
Very vampire, again, True Blood vibes, for sure. You wait, True Blood kind of guy?
True Blood.
Okay, just making sure. 'Cause, I mean,
A lot of vampires.
Vampire Diaries.
There's a large scale of vampires. I'm somewhere from True Blood from Dusk Till Dawn.
somewhere in that range.
Yeah, so in a
I think
tasteful vampire
I
way.
think the only thing I would be sort of concerned about with picking this up is the price tag is, again, a little bit much. If you can get it on a deal, again, if you can get it more towards that $20 side, this is definitely more worth it. But if you're somebody that likes to entertain, you've got like a house and you're like, okay, I want people to come over. You have a Campari and you're like, I'm making a Negroni. And somebody's like, what's a Negroni? And then you make them this cocktail, they're like, damn, this guy's classy.
Yeah.
If you're just like, I kind of just like, want to have something to drink on Tuesdays, maybe you stay away from this. I don't know. It's kind of like, you got to know what you're going to do with it. And there are other kind of cocktails you can make with it besides the Negroni. A Spritz is a classic, which is just champagne in this.
I can see that being
Another kind of
damn
like
refreshing.
literally just alcohol and
Yeah.
alcohol mix. So that's kind of Campari specialty with the color. Again, it's no longer carmine based, but it does have that color. So I think overall recommendation, if you know what you're going to do with it, how would you classify it?
Overall, I'd say, again, if you're looking for a drink that tastes like a drink, give it a solid, as someone who hasn't drank in a while, give it a solid 8 out of 10. So
A drink that tastes like a drink.
that
I think
tastes
that's
like a drink. You'll never.
That's the tagline.
This is not one of those dangerous drinks that you think to yourself like, "Whoa, I could just knock these back all day." It's
No,
like,
you
I'm sure after a
realize you're
couple,
drinking something.
You're well aware that it's like all of these components have decent levels of alcoholism. So drive responsibly.
Well, as we say always, drink responsibly.
Drink responsibly.
I mean, if you're
Before
drinking, also probably don't drive.
Not driving.
But drive
Ubering.
responsibly. Uber responsibly. Or Lyft. You know, we don't care.
Lyft, friends,
All
family,
all that good stuff.
skateboards from homeless people. Just
I mean,
however you
that
need
too.
to get around.
That too. I think we're gonna cut it here.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna cut it there.